Today we're going to analyze Singapore's education system. For years now, Singapore's education system has been globally accepted as one of the best education systems in the world as it tries to provide quality education for each and every child in the country. In fact, the country has also allotted the second largest budget just for education. But how did Singapore reach such a position, and what went behind making their education system so successful? So in this video, we're going to try to uncover that. But for that, let's go back in time a bit. After 140 years of being colonized, Singapore gained its independence in the year 1965. During this time, it was a country with hardly any natural resources to bank on, and the education system too had absolutely no uniformity. It was then Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew's vision that led the country to what it is today. He had only one strategy in mind: to invest and develop the country's only available natural resource, the people of Singapore. And for this, he prioritized the rebuilding of schools. Because of the diversity in ethnicities and religions in the country, the schools then operated in different languages like English, Malay, Chinese, etc. But PM Lee Kuan Yew wanted to encourage social unity among the population to support economic development and put 20% of the government expenditure in just education. So now, let's get into the nitty-gritties and the different aspects about what makes Singapore's education system so special. First, let's start with the positives and all the rosy things, and then let's get into the negative and what really needs reform, because let's be honest, nothing's really perfect, right? So let's get into it. Schools in Singapore actually believe in using a playful approach when it comes to education, because they believe that to truly understand a concept, you must enjoy it. And as they focus a lot on creativity and critical thinking, they use that as the core and the essence of the learning process. For example, while teaching math, something like subtraction, addition, division, or multiplication, they try to use the famous model method. In this method, children draw a diagram with bars and blocks in order to visualize the problem on paper. This visualization then makes it much easier for them to solve the problem in a systematic manner. Even the most complex problems can be solved using this method. Kind of cool, right? So to give you another example of the approach taken by schools in Singapore is that when they're trying to learn a scientific concept, they always do it by applying it or by playing with it. So this means that they're usually given a project in a pair or a team, and this allows them not only to learn the concept in a more collaborative manner, but it also teaches them how to communicate with each other and to work as a team. So just like maths, even science is given that playful approach because they feel like children are already naturally curious, and what the curriculum needs to do is to bring out that natural curiosity. Now moving on to teachers. Singapore has a high quality teacher workforce. The system itself makes sure only the best of the best are responsible for teaching and preparing the next generations. Recruitment, training, compensation, professional development, performance appraisal, and career development, all these factors are carefully considered so that only top quality education is imparted. Also, the student ratio in India is around 30 to 40 students to one teacher, whereas in Singapore it's only 12 to 15 students to one teacher. This allows the teacher to take the time to understand each and every child and have a more individualized approach to education. So now, let's have a look at its shortcomings. Singapore's education system follows a streaming method, meaning that from class 1 to 6 is the primary education, and to go beyond that, there is an examination that you need to pass, the PSLE, Primary School Leaving Examination. and it is supposed to be one of the most strenuous exams in the country because the marks that you get in that examination determines which of the three streams you get into. Here are the three streams: express, normal academic, and normal technical. According to their PSLE scores, you get into one of these streams. The really good students get into express, others get into the normal academic, and the ones who perform the worst get into the technical. So now this becomes problematic because the ones who get into the express stream usually look down upon the ones that get into the technical stream. So at such a young age, there is this kind of divide that is created in the students, and because of that, 86% of the students are said to feel distressed and scared of failure because they feel like they will just be alienated from the rest of their class. And as PSLE is considered the examination of the lifetime, parents actually spend a lot of time and money to help their children pass this exam and score the highest. So we can draw a comparison here to our country where there is a lot of societal pressure to get certain jobs, whereas other jobs are looked down upon. So children at that age already start feeling this pressure and already pushed into some kind of streams even before they get to know what they're actually into. Which brings me to my next point. Did you know that families in Singapore spend about $1 billion annually just on tuitions? The fee increases as the child's age increases, and it is at the highest when they get closer to the PSLE examination. Almost 70% of elementary school children attend tuition. Yes, 70%. And what is even shocking is that 40% of the kindergarten children also attend these tuitions. So children as young as 5 years old spend hours and hours in these tuition centers after school when they could actually be spending the same amount of hours pursuing interests and passions or even just playing. Now let's talk about the future of Singapore's education system and the reforms that they're going to bring. So recently, the Ministry of Education in Singapore has been thinking about reforms that would actually bring back the joy of learning in each and every student in the country. Here are the two major changes that have been and are going to be implemented. Number one, removal of mid-year examinations. There are no more mid-year exams in primary and secondary schools. This comes as a huge relief to not just children but also their parents and teachers. So instead of preparing for exams in order to just get a grade, children now have the environment and time to develop a love for learning. And number two, there is abolishment of streaming. I mentioned earlier about how students were divided into three courses, right? Express, normal academic, and normal technical. This is going to be replaced by a full subject-based banding. Now, what does that mean? It means that now students will not be divided into streams like earlier. Instead of that, they will be in mixed form classes. So students will be able to choose the subjects they want to study and are interested in. It is estimated that by 2024, full subject-based banding will be adopted by schools across the country. Other than this, the PSLE scoring system has also gone through major changes to reduce the amount of stress that children have to bear during exam season. So now let's ask ourselves the most important question. What can the Indian education system learn from Singapore's education system? So I feel like there are two things that we can take away from Singapore's education system. Number one is their approach to education, and number two is their teacher training. We need to start focusing as a country on hands-on experiential learning just like Singapore, so that we not only allow the children to fall in love with learning and understand the concepts better, but they're also ready for everything that life is going to throw at them and also be ready for the future of work. On the other hand, teacher training is something that the Singapore government spends a lot of time and money in because they feel like if you have quality teachers, you automatically will have quality education. So as a country, we can really start focusing on teacher training, and not only training them professionally, but also giving them that safe space to express and giving them a space where they feel respected and supported. So I feel like if we can draw a balance between the approach to education, which is more experiential, and this teacher training, and make them feel supported, then I feel like we can really learn a lot from this country. What do you think? What are other practices that we can adopt from Singapore's approach to education? Let me know in the comments down below. Would love to know your thoughts, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe, because that helps me and motivates me to make more such videos. So see you next week, and until then, bye.